Our key survey findings. We conducted 2 online surveys. The topic was First Nations administrators, education directors, and impact of COVID-19 in schools, classrooms, and communities before school started. And the second survey was after school had begun and students were in classrooms. And so survey 1 was from September 1 to the 30th. We had 121 people responding. Survey 2, November 1 to December 18, with 48 people responding. But remember, people were in schools, people were working and dealing with situations they had dealt with before. The survey had 14 multiple choice questions, true and false, and included, and 6 open-ended questions where people provided 1 or more written responses, and you could provide a written response for any question. There was space left for it. The survey access was on our FNEAA website using SurveyMonkey, and messages to complete the survey were sent by email to First Nations communities, advertised through Nation Talk, regional town halls, and other networking channels. This map shows there were really 169, but 1 survey respondent didn't answer the survey. And we laid out how the responses came forth. The majority of responses came from Ontario with 41%, and then BC with 16%, Nova Scotia with 9%, Quebec with 9%, Saskatchewan with 8%, Alberta with 5%, Manitoba with 4%, New Brunswick with 4%, Yukon 2%, Northwest Territories and Newfoundland 1%. So it was a good cross section of people, administrators responding from across the country. So we are very pleased with the diversity, and of course, not surprised that Ontario had the most. Profile of respondents. 78% were First Nations peoples, 75% worked for a First Nations school or organization, and 34% worked directly in education. So for survey 1, before school started, people were saying things like, the focus is on this ever-changing return to school plan. It kept changing all the time, and the provincial government kept changing requirements. So people had to keep changing their plans, and then they would lag in communication to parents who were looking to know what to expect. So it was quite challenging. And then the need for support services for students who had fallen behind, at-risk students and special needs students, was very great. The need to access mental health support services were high. They were already finding that they were lagging already. So health and safety training was of great importance, and the communication with parents was of great importance. They were indicating that additional cleaning materials, protective personal equipment, and space for social distancing was something that they hadn't done before, and they needed to find ways to address that. And then there was need for an access to high-speed internet services, not just for schools, not just for communities, but for the homes where the learners were. So as we evolved in survey 2, in the findings, now we're in school and in the classroom. And again, the findings showed that there was ever-changing routines depending on the outbreaks, because there is COVID in our First Nations communities. And people would close down and they'd stop school, they'd have to go back to an online, and there was a constant change. There was a loss of learning for students. That's what the teachers and parents were saying. They said that there was a weariness and lots high stress levels. There was urgent need for access to mental health supports. Absences due to illnesses or quarantine. There was canceled and amended special programs that created holes and gaps. There was need for more teachers, more staff, more cleaners, more bus drivers. Transportation became a real issue when students got on the bus, when they got off the bus, and making sure they were wearing masks and washing their hands and respecting social distancing. So the need for and access to high-speed internet services for homes, computer hardware, software, and learning platforms became very evident as they got deeper and deeper in and knew that online learning was going to be something that had to be undertaken. And so many people now are in the shift to learn this and to do this. And also what was very much needed was increased communication with parents. They want to know what's going on. They want to know how to keep their students safe, and they want to know how to help them at home with the learning. So these were the key findings while they were in pandemic and probably still ongoing. Some of the key best practices that we learned from survey 2 was that people, teachers, students, and parents were becoming adaptable, and they were resilient, and they were getting through, they were coping. Cooperation and collaboration among schools, teachers, and parents, bus drivers and bus companies were good. People were meeting the need, doing what they had to do to get through. And cultural activities and connection to elders and land-based practices also assisted learning, were provided as learning opportunities, which benefited everybody, students, parents, all kinds of innovative things were going on with cultural teachings and learnings in communities. Yahweh.